Alright, so we have our drain pipe corner here textured up, UV but not textured. So let's look for our smart material here. I've baked out the normals. Let's throw our smart material on. And again, you see that's textured up our drain pipe here quite a bit. Now, the only thing I'm looking at here is I really don't like how large these rust pieces are. So I'm actually going to go in there and adjust that. I'm just going to find the rust texture. Why are you doing that? I thought I had an option in here to actually control the size of the rust. It may have been on another texture though. We'll just quickly double check again in case I missed it. Oh, here we go, the rust value itself. Hey Heck, how's things? It's been a while since I've seen you. What you been up to? We're just finishing up some stuff for our model here for our drain pipe, and that's better. I've just made the rust a little bit smaller, these rusted parts of the paint. I just felt it was looking a little bit too large. I may pull back on the height a little bit as well. You're working a lot, Heck? Yeah, I know how that feels. Like I've been saying, guys, I generally stream on a Wednesday, but I haven't been able to do that. I won't be able to do it for the next couple of months because the studio is really busy and I've got a huge amount of work I've got to do. So, why do those directors want to take on more work for the studio? As if they want to make some money or something. So they've taken on quite a few projects, the studio, that we need to work on, so I'm going to be pretty busy. But I'll still be streaming on a Monday and a Tuesday, just not a Wednesday for a couple of months. Until I get my workload under control. Just playing with my height values here a little bit. But hey, I mean, I don't bemoan the studio for wanting to take on more work. I mean, that's how they keep us all employed. So that's okay. I work for an Archviz studio here. Yeah. So we do a lot of architectural visualization work. So, but we do a lot of period. We have architects that. Our main line of work from the studio I work at now is we specialize in doing extensions for period buildings, heritage buildings. So say there's a heritage building which is listed, which generally means you can't do any work on the building, you can't alter it at all. But if it's a government department, say, and they want to put an extension to that building at the back, we specialize in getting that extension to look correct with the actual heritage building. And my job is to do photogrammetry to make sure that we can get a model of the heritage building that is very accurate, so that the architects can then come in and design on to that heritage building. That, and we do some stuff for mining companies as well, because the mining industry use photogrammetry as well quite a bit. Because I don't know if you're aware, but we do in Australia here where I live. We have quite a few mining companies, and most of those mining companies use these massive trucks, I guess you call it. I don't know what you call them, loaders, that are unmanned. And when I say massive, like one of the wheels of these trucks is as high as I am, and I'm about 5'10". So they're really big trucks, and they're all driverless. They're all automated. And in order for them to be able to do that, they need a really accurate layout of the land, and photogrammetry helps them in that regard as well. So yeah, the studio does heritage stuff and mining work. So yeah, it keeps us busy, or keeps me busy anyway. I'm not the only designer in the studio, there's a few of us. Plus I also do contract work for a games company here for modelling. I do 3D models for them for a games company, for their games, so that keeps me relatively busy. That should be good, I think. Alright. We've renamed our texture, let's export it so we can bring it into Unreal. Let's make sure we set up our path here. It's that time of year as well, I think, in the design industry. Like the middle of the year is when a lot of studios get really busy. I think it's the end of financial year, beginning of the next financial year sort of thing. Work picks up quite a bit. And then it will quieten down again towards the end of the year around Christmas. Let's export those. I'm glad you guys can actually log into Twitch, because I was reading that they were having some problems this morning on their support page on Twitter, Twitch's support page. People were complaining that they couldn't log in or that they couldn't stream and all that sort of thing. They still seem to be going okay, I think. Looks like I've dropped a few frames, but hey. And that's the other thing I mentioned yesterday too, guys. I'm changing my internet provider, so from next week's streams, if not next week, the week after, I'll be streaming at a higher bit rate just to give a better quality stream to you guys. So I'll be doubling my bit rate, but it shouldn't be a problem for anyone that has a crappy internet connection watching Twitch, because I'm an affiliate, so you should. Generally I get transcoding options, so if you find that you can't watch my stream at source quality, you should be able to drop it back. I don't have them on, they're not available this week, I think, because of Twitch broadcasting E3. Generally they'll take the transcoding away when the network is really heavily being hit, like at E3. But once that's over, it should all come back again. And like I said, because I've been affiliated now, I'm pretty much, well, according to Twitch, I should most times get transcoding. So if from next week or the week after, when I start broadcasting at a higher bit rate, you have trouble watching, you should be able to knock the viewer back to whatever your internet connection can handle. But I won't go over the top. I won't be streaming at like 6,000 kilobytes a second or anything like that. And it's not necessary for the sort of work that I do anyway. You guys wouldn't benefit from me streaming at 6,000 kilobits, because I'm not playing a game, so it really wouldn't benefit anyone. So we've exported our textures. Let's jump back into Max. Let's jump out of isolation. Okay, I'm just going to turn off edge bases here. Well, it should help you guys. I've noticed, like I said, on my streams, sometimes when I'm really zooming things around, like this, if things are moving on the screen really quickly, it'll pixelate either me or the background, and that's because my bitrate isn't, I'm not streaming at a high enough bitrate. But that shouldn't be a problem soon. And then at the end of the year, I'm getting what they're calling the National Broadband Network, which is cable internet. So that won't be a problem then at all. But I have to wait for them to roll it out where I live, so it's not due to be rolled out till the end of the year. So in the meantime, I'm doing a different solution. So, all right, so we have our drain pipes, and like I said, we have 4 drain pipes, but we've only exported 1 large one and 1 tiny one. Let's jump into Unreal. Again, let's just go full screen, just for the benefit of anyone watching that hasn't seen what I'm doing here. I'm creating an environment in Unreal that we're going to create a cinematic for. Now, all of these trees do move. I can't turn it on because OBS really has a problem. I'll turn it on briefly just to show you guys. So we have all of our plants and things moving in the wind. It really knocks back OBS, FPS when I do it though. So I'm just going to turn it off again. So we've created our environment here and we're working on our building. So let's jump through. Alright. Let's just jump out of full screen mode here. I'm going to make sure I'm in my models directory and I'm going to import those drain pipes. Let's start with the large one. Now, I can't remember if I did a reset on the X form on the large one or not. We'll find out in 2 seconds, I guess. If I didn't, the drain pipe size will look a bit weird. Yeah, you see I'm getting a warning here saying the imported mesh is very small. That tells me I did not do a reset on the X form. So, it's not a big deal. We just select our original drain pipe. Going to collapse my stack. Again, I'm going to make sure my pivot is in the middle. I'm going to do a reset. Collapse. We'll just export it one more time. This won't affect our textures or our UVs or anything like that. It's just a size issue. We'll save over our old file. We'll jump back into Unreal and we'll just re-import it. And you see now we didn't get an error message and our drain pipe is the correct size. But our texture is not correct, so we're going to have to fix that. It's still using the old texture we made. So let's find our shader, or a material. It should be this one here. Let's import our texture maps for our drain pipe. Okay, now this is interesting. You guys have been watching my channel when I've been doing my normal mapping, and I said I've been having problems with the generator creating strange coloured normal maps. You see our normal maps here are correct. I have a feeling what is happening is it may be a problem with the normal. You know how my normal maps, my normals have been inverted. It could be that when I've done the bake of the texture, I've had inverted normals, which has made my normal map turn either green or pink. And a normal map should not be green or pink, it should be this bluey colour. I'll have to test that some more to see if that is actually what was happening. But let's bring in our colour map, metallic, ambient occlusion and our normal. I'm going to drag them into my shader. Going to make sure that they're in the right order. Metallic, normal. This one is the ambient occlusion. Did I have a roughness map? I'm just not sure. Metallic. Oh yeah, there we go. I forgot to bring the roughness map in. Let's hook them up to our shader. I'm just going to delete this old texture map here we're not using. Let's wait for our shader to compile a little bit and save it. Alright, let's look at our drain pipe here. Wrong way. Now, you see the drain pipe is looking incredibly shiny. Like mega shiny. That's not really, I mean it is paint, it will be shiny, but that's a bit too shiny I think. Now we should be able to knock that back a bit by changing the sRGB value on our roughness map. Let's have a look at that. So I'm going to turn off sRGB on my roughness map. Go back into my shader. Make sure it's not giving me any errors, because sometimes it can. There's a bug in 16.1, I think, where if you change the sRGB value, it can create an error here in your shader. But I think it's okay. Let's have a look at our drain pipe again. You see how that's knocked back that really glossy look that we were getting? If I can get it into position here. It's still shiny like paint, but not glossy like it's been varnished. So if you ever have a problem with your shader, your material looking really shiny, it's the sRGB value in your roughness map that you have to fix. Alright, let's bring in our second drain pipe corner. And again, we're going to have to fix up our normal map, fix up our texture map, I should say. Where did it put it? I'm just going to jump into substance for a minute. No, that's fine. I was going to find where it's put the shader for it. That's odd. Let's rename this material drain pipe so I don't get myself confused. I was just complaining because I've already got a mesh in there called drain pipe, and it won't let you rename something if there's already a name, if that name is being used. Alright. I'm going to duplicate this material, and I'm going to call this one drain pipe corner. And I'm going to import the corner texture maps that we exported from Substance. So we want the corner color, metallic, ambient occlusion, normal, and roughness. Okay, let's just drag them into our shader as well. No. Before I drag the roughness in, I'm going to change that sRGB. I'm going to turn it off. Okay, so we want the color, ambient occlusion, normal, roughness. Where did I put the metallic? Color, roughness. I don't think I brought the metallic one in. Let's have a look. I forgot my metallic map. Okay, let's just position these so we can rehook them up more easily. Let's swap them out. Wait. Let's delete the ones we're not using. Save our texture. Well, save our material shader. Open up our model, make sure it's using the correct material, and there we go. Alright, let's start fixing our drain pipes to our house now, I think. So let's start with the large drain pipe. Again, the scale is going to be incorrect because we scaled up our building from when we imported it into Max. But we can just rescale it here. But before I rescale this one drain pipe piece, I'm going to drag another one in. I'm going to drag that corner piece we created in. I'm doing this before I do the scale so that they all match up. And we're just going to reattach our corner piece here to the to one of these drain pipes. We just get in the right position here to do it correctly. Again, I'm going to jump into Max in just a minute to get the position of this correct. Okay, so it needs to go, well, I'll just do it by eye as to how far down it needs to be placed. And I think about there should be good. Okay, now I'm going to select both of those, create a blueprint, so it's easy for me to, I'm just going to make sure that they are actually positioned correctly before I do that. Actually, no, that should be good, that should be fine. So we'll create a blueprint. I'm going to place it in my blueprints folder. I'm going to call it drain pipe corner underscore prefab. Okay. Alright, that just makes it easy. Creating a blueprint just makes it easy for us to move it around as one object as opposed to two different pieces put together. It also has the advantages if you want to do any sort of coding on the blueprint object, it makes it so that you can actually add code to the object if you wanted to do anything special with the object in Unreal. We're not going to be doing that, but that's another advantage of making the mesh into a blueprint. Alright, let's rotate that around. We'll do 90 degrees. We'll rotate this one around at 90 degrees. And we're going to select both of them and just move them down a bit. Alright, let's scale these up to better match our actual building. So I'm just going to uniformly scale them. I'm doing both of them at the same time so I can keep the scale consistent between the both of them. I don't have to do it this way. I can do one, look at my scale value here and then copy it across, but just doing it both at the same time makes it easier. I'm just going to move them in to where they should be so I can get my scaling correct. I'm going to be moving this one separately in a minute. I've only got both of them selected so I get the scale the same. Pay no attention to that drain pipe at the moment. We're looking at the double one here. Now again, I'm just going to jump back into Max to get a comparison as to size and position. I think they're just a little bit large. And I know as far as scale goes, the top of that drain pipe matches up with that ledge, and the bottom of that corner drain pipe matches up with that ledge. And that's how I can judge my scaling. So if I move my drain pipe up, I see that my drain pipes are still a little bit too large. Because remember, that top ledge there and that second ledge there is what we're judging our scaling based on. They don't have to be exact. I mean, it pays to try and get it as close as you can though. And that looks more correct now. We have the top of our drain pipe here on the first ledge, and we have the corner near the second ledge. But they need to be moved up towards the front. Alright, now let's look at our second drain pipe. Let's pull it out, move it down. I know the scale is correct because we scaled it in relation to the first one. We've just got to find the placement of the second one, and that's about at the corner there where the peak meets the bottom of the top of the roof. That should be good. Now, this is a really long drain pipe section. Remember, we want to try and reduce our poly, so we're only going to be working with one drain pipe. But these drain pipes over here may be a bit shorter. This one in particular here on the end. You'll notice that it's actually not as high. This one will be the same, but this one's going to be shorter. We can still use that longer piece without a problem. Let me just get this one positioned correctly. Needs to come down a little bit. So we're going to duplicate this mesh. Again, remember, doing a duplication on a mesh, you don't increase your memory count very much at all. The graphics card reads that one mesh in, and then it just uses much less memory just duplicating it instead of creating a new mesh. Let's move it over to the other side. And do a 180-degree rotation. We're going to duplicate it one more time for the one down the end. And remember, like I was saying, this one's a lot shorter. So all we're going to do is, once I get it in the right spot here, I'm going to move it down into position, which it should be just above that first ledge there. That looks about right. Just going to make sure it's actually not sticking in the wall. And even though it's longer, and what's happened here is it's pushed the mesh through the ground, which is fine. The player or your camera will never be down here. So even if the mesh is too big for where it should be, we can hide it by pushing it into the ground like that. Now it looks like this drain pipe angle is a bit off. So I'm just going to do a rotation. I'm going to turn off angle snap here so I can get a bit more control. And we'll pull it out a bit more. Maybe the same for this one here. I think it needs to be rotated around just a little bit. And we'll pull it out a little bit more. And I'm going to move this one over. Alright. I'm just going to check the rotation on the other ones on this side as well to make sure they're not... Again, this one looks like it may be intersecting the building a little bit at the bottom. So I'm just going to rotate it out a little bit. And maybe this one too. All right. Okay, I think we have our drain pipes done. I don't think there's... I'm just going to jump into Max to check if there's anything else I've forgotten to include here. Now, there is one thing I do want to do, and that's grow some ivy on this building, just to soften it up a bit inside of Unreal. And what I mean by soften it up, it just makes it look less jarring in the environment. So maybe if we look at Unreal, it's probably a better example. We have all of our plants and things going on in the environment, but the house sticks out like dog's balls. Excuse my language. And growing some ivy on the actual building will help just soften those hard bricks up a bit. I'm just trying to work out if we should do that first or if we should start putting some plants actually in our garden beds. Let's do the garden beds first, I think. We can come back and do the ivy later on. But what I do want to do here is I want to make sure my drain pipes are in the same folder as my building. It's okay, we're a mature channel, and that wasn't really a swear word. We say it all the time over here in Australia. But I want to make sure my drain pipes are actually included in the folder with my building, because once we have everything inside of our building, because remember we're going to be doing a cinematic where we go inside the building, our building has to be rotated, and I'm doing that so that when we come over when our camera comes up to our terrace here, we have a nice looking silhouette. PG-18, that's right. And at the moment, that's not a nice looking silhouette. I've had to do it this way so that when I move my pieces into place, it's easy for me to move them, because it's at like a proper 90-degree angle so that the axes are in the right spot. But we will be rotating our building around slightly so that we can get a nicer looking silhouette for our camera when it pans up through here. We'll do that at the very end though, once we've got everything inside of our building and everything like that. The other thing I need to do still too is to actually do the yard here. We haven't done anything with the actual ground or plants in our yard. But I think what we'll do here is, like I said, I'm going to move the drain pipes into their own folder. I'm going to move the building drain pipes into the Art Deco building folder. Again, that just makes selecting everything really easy for me when I want to rotate it back around again at the end, once we've got everything in place. And because all I have to do then is select the building, and then I can just go select all descendants, and it selects everything for me, allowing me to do an easy movement or rotation. So these folder groups are really useful in Unreal. Okay, so we've got our drain pipes in there. I'm just going to go through here and make sure there's nothing else I need to place in that subfolder. No, I think it's pretty good. Now, there is a couple of things I just want to mention here briefly. These are reflection spheres, and I've got a few of them placed around here. I have one above the pond, and that's giving me the reflection in the pond of my surrounding environment here in the water. But I've also placed 3 of them around the outside of the building. Just one at the front and then 2 towards the back. And I've done that so that when we get to our windows here, I don't know if you can see it really well, but we're getting a reflection of our environment in our window glass. And without those reflection spheres, you're not going to get proper reflection of your environment. So I've placed 3 around the outside of the building, just so we can get proper reflection of our trees and our environment. All right, let's start by bringing in a tree, I think, to place on this corner. So I have my foliage. I do have a tree I created specifically for the building. When I say it's for the building, it's created so that there are no branches on the back side, because I don't want branches sticking inside my building when we have our camera flow through it. So I've made this speed tree. Let's just give the editor a minute to create those shaders. It's getting there. All right, let me just move around this tree so I can explain what I mean. You see at the back of this tree here, there are no branches. Normally on a tree, you get branches growing out all the way around the outside. When I created this tree in Speed Tree, I removed or moved any branches that were on the back here, so that I have basically a flat back to this tree. And I've done that so that we don't have branches sticking inside of our building, because I want to move this tree now right up next to our building. First thing I'm going to do is rotate it. I may turn snapping back on here. Again, this is fully animated, wind animated tree. I just have animation turned off because of OBS. I'm going to move my tree over near the corner. Now, there's a few things I can do here. I think what I'll have to do is, our roots are actually sticking through our garden bed here. I can fix that by sinking the tree down lower into the ground, which is, I think, what I'll end up doing. Or I can do it by scaling the tree in to make it a bit smaller. I do have to make sure that the tree isn't too big and is intersecting our building. So what I'm going to do is just look around the outside here. Well, you see, the first problem is it's covering our doorway completely. That's not great. Sniper OK says, if you give OBS a dedicated CPU core and limit UE4 to the other 4 cores, it will work. I'll look into that. I have raised the, they call it affinity in OBS. There's a setting under advanced where you can set priority, I think they're calling it. I've set the priority to OBS to be, I can't remember what they're calling it, above high anyway, so that OBS has priority. But I've noticed when I turn on animation here in Unreal, my FPS in OBS drops from 30 FPS to like 20.